Welcome to the Best Team Wins podcast with Adam Robinson. He's talking to today's industry leaders and entrepreneurs about the people side of their business.
Welcome to the Best Team Wins podcast, where we feature entrepreneurs and business leaders whose exceptional approach to the people side of their business has led to incredible results. My name is Adam Robinson, and for the next 25 minutes, I'll be your host as we talk about your business and improving it through better hiring. Today on the program, we have a year-end recap episode. The esteemed Christen Calloway is here with me today to talk about some things, Bitcoin, workplace culture, and the future of employment in the U.S. among the topics we'll cover today. Christen, welcome.
Thank you. Excited to talk about things that happened in 2017 and look into our crystal ball towards 2018.
So let's go.
All right. I looked up the top search terms entered into Google in 2017, and I was surprised at what I found. I first want to talk about Bitcoin. Bitcoin was at the top of the list, and today we walked into the office and it's dropped 40%. So did you invest in any Bitcoin?
I did not. I put my money into tulip bulb futures instead, hoping that comes back big.
Cross your fingers.
Yeah, it's been 500 years, but
never know.
hoping for a resurgence in the tulip bulb market.
Right, but in the tech market in Chicago, a lot of folks have invested in Bitcoin, and I think that it's a signal to the marketplace that privacy is a concern. As Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency, which is a completely anonymous form of digital currency. But it's also interesting because it's transparent in the fact that every transaction is on public ledger. So my question to you is, what do you think that signals to companies and how they should think about their future and even as it relates to their people?
I know this isn't a podcast on technology for technology's sake, but it doesn't surprise me that Bitcoin was the top search last year. It is sold as, billed as a anonymous, completely bulletproof way to transact without having, without using paper-based currency backed by countries, right? So it's anonymous, and that's all good. But as it turns out, Bitcoin is not great at doing the things that you do with money. It's not a great store of value because the value fluctuates so wildly you don't know what it's worth, right? Case in point today, half our team is panicked walking into the office because overnight Bitcoin prices dropped 40%. Why? Because what Bitcoin is really good at is serving as a vehicle for speculation. That's what I think Bitcoin is really good at, serving as a vehicle for speculation. And we might as well be in the tulip bulb mania in Holland in the 1500s or whenever that was. I mean, what's the difference? I don't want to be the last person holding Bitcoin.
Right.
That said, I think there are some underlying things that are transformative and will fundamentally change the way companies do business. The underlying technology of blockchain is fascinating, and this notion of the public ledger and transactions are completely open but anonymous, and it has implications for lots of different kinds of businesses. That is what is most exciting about it. And when the Bitcoin mania goes, it's going to stabilize. I think Bitcoin's here to stay, but I think it will end up being regulated by countries just like anything else. I think blockchain's interesting. And for companies and their HR operations, blockchain has the ability, the potential, I should say, to impact areas of the business like payroll, like background checks, like the collection of sensitive documents that when you need certainty about what you're going to do and anonymity in the transaction to protect the individual information, I think blockchain can do some pretty cool stuff on the HR side. That's an area I have my eye on. And I think it speaks to a world that is going to see privacy as elusive and at a premium. And that's one way I think blockchain and Bitcoin as one implementation of blockchain. I remember back to 3 years ago or 4 years ago, I was walking through a human resources conference on the showroom floor, and I saw a vendor that was advertising paying employees with Bitcoin. So it was the ability for employees to exercise their option to take part of their paycheck in Bitcoin. Which 4 years ago, if you had done that, you would have been okay.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'd feel great about paying anyone in Bitcoin.
Right.
I don't think we're going to do that here at Hierology, and I don't think people want us to. But those are fads, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
But there are some real uses for this stuff.
Thank you for your thoughts on that. The other top trends in search terms on Google in 2017 were actually people, and I don't think anyone will be surprised by this, but Matt Lauer, Harvey Weinstein, Kevin Spacey were all top search terms around the sexual harassment issues that we've seen across the country. My question to you is, what do you think this means for 2018 and beyond, and what companies should do differently in the future?
Yeah, we had quite the parade of dirtbags this year, and I think what everybody has always known, but it's only now being discussed like this is a real issue. And this discrimination happens every day in the workplace. It's particularly acute in industries where you have males at the top with lots of centralized control over high-stakes career opportunities for female employees. And there are varying degrees of that in the workplace, from the manager to the subordinate up to, you look at the highest paid TV personality in maybe the world, but certainly the United States. And Matt Lauer is making $25 million a year, and by all accounts was a total dickhead. For years, and everybody knew about it, and nobody said anything. And I'm glad that people are saying stuff now. And I think it puts, I think this in 2017 started with the Uber blog post.
Right.
And that was really the first shot fired here, and has ended, this year, continuing to see, more and more people. Now TJ Miller, turns out people have been saying about him for years that, he's a harasser, and he's, done some pretty bad stuff, allegedly. It's not going to end.
Right.
But what I am encouraged by is the fact that people are going to say something. So if you are the leader of an organization or a team and do this stuff, you're just not going to have a job.
Nor should you.
But people are going to call you out on it. Now I think that's great.
Absolutely.
I think it's excellent. I'm not surprised. I am surprised that it all happened
all at once.
Yeah. I mean, really, in some ways, it started with the whole Bill Cosby case, and a couple of years back. And I think the conversation has shifted from, but we love that guy, to I'm not surprised. I don't think what I'm most encouraged by is people are no longer going straight to blame the accuser.
Thank God.
And that's a good thing. But
absolutely.
I think it puts, organizations at risk if you are not providing training to your managers and have a zero tolerance policy for this crap. Your business is going to get hit in a very big way. And you've got to teach people that that's not okay. And you shouldn't be hiring people who treat people this way. It's part of our no assholes core value. I mean, we've had a couple instances here where I've had to send people on their way for certain behavior, and it's the only thing to do. It's not even a choice. You just have to do it.
Right. I was a camp counselor as a teenager.
Okay, I'm not surprised.
Yeah. And they the very first thing before we did anything else, we had sexual harassment training, and it always ended in a song to the tune of head, shoulders, knees, and toes. It's head, shoulders, no knees, no toes, no knees, no
right,
toes.
yeah, right.
So I think like even just the simplest form of training can really help people in the workplace know what's acceptable, especially kids coming out of college and like different rules of the road there than coming into a professional workplace. And Hierology actually just signed up with a company that provides an HR resource for employees to discuss anything on their mind anonymously with HR professionals, and then we can find out about those things so that people can come forward in a way that they feel safe and secure.
And that's really why we said yes to that. I think you can we have an employee handbook, and there's a well-documented process for telling your supervisor, but that's a scary proposition. I mean, that's not something that feels very welcoming. And so, plus there's risk there. I mean, what if, for God, knows whatever reason, nothing happens? I mean, somebody's got to do something about it. People are scared. I want to make sure that our team has a way to let someone know that something's going on or that they're uncomfortable in a way that's non-threatening to them.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say that will happen more and more, and it provides pretty big opportunity for companies in that space.
Yeah.
It is absolutely the topic of the day, and will continue to be for the next couple of years. I believe it's the biggest risk to most businesses, particularly high growth companies, where startup culture is not an excuse for treating people disrespectfully.
Well said. Moving on to maybe a little bit of a lighter topic. What was the best thing you read in 2017?
Listeners will know that I like Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. I thought, founder of Nike, it's his autobiography. I was fascinated. It was just a fascinating read about how he built the business, and I really, truly had no idea. I mean, I got to know Nike through Michael Jordan in the 80s. It was kind of like, that was my introduction to Nike. But there was 20 years of history before that. That was pretty fascinating. And I would recommend that book to anybody who wants to know what it's like to sit in that seat and take all the risk. I mean, it's a pretty amazing book.
I'll have to pick it up. I still haven't read it, even though I've heard about it
20
different
times for me.
from different people. And then what was the biggest thing at Hierology for you last year?
For us at Hierology, the biggest thing was we executed our first industry conference. It was on... There's so many big things. It's hard to pick one, but I think of what's one Hail Mary we threw this year. We connected and the crowd went wild. That was one of them. We didn't know we were going to do that walking into the year. We said, "Damn it, we're going to do that this year," and we did it. And our team executed it well. We sold it out. Really proud of that. That was a big deal for us, and it just was a reminder that as we grow this business, there's still opportunities to take calculated risks and do new things and push it. And if you do your homework, you don't have to know exactly how it's going to happen. You just have to know that it's going to work, and you have the right people executing it. They will figure it out, and it will work. So I want to continue to push this place to take those kind of risks.
Yeah.
As we grow, the response can often be, but how are we going to do that? We're not ready. And we have to maintain a natural aversion to that kind of thinking here as we grow this business, because we cannot stop doing new stuff that's scary. We're just no company can ever do that. We're nowhere near being able to do that. I don't think you're ever really able to do that, but my job is to keep my thumb on that.
Yeah, and as long as you have the right people in the right seats, I think anything is possible, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. Okay, so what are you most excited about in 2018 for Hierology?
We are emerging into a new stage of growth. And what's most exciting for me is that we will be surrounding ourselves with all kinds of new people in new roles, new ways of doing business, new products. It's all, in many ways, we are relaunching the business from a higher position next year. So we've gotten to this point, and congratulations, we're not even close to done. What business do we need to have at the end of 18 to really take advantage of our market opportunity? That requires breaking everything and relaunching it all. And I'm really excited about that because that's what I like to do.
What are some of the things that you've been thinking about for recruiting and HR trends in 2018?
I think the labor market is going to remain really constricted. There will always be an opportunity for people who are the best at what they do. So I often talk with our customers about this notion of quartiles and the top 25% of performers for any compensation band. That's what you're after. You want the top 25% of whoever's available for whatever you're paying for that job. And there is a top 25%. That top 25% is always employed. Always employed. The middle 50% is the group that trades time for money. So if I pay you some money, you'll give me your time. But if someone else paid you some more money, you're going to give them your time. And that's, most companies are stuck in this time for money paradigm. I want to keep us focused on that more than that category, where you've got to be more than time for money to get the top 25%. I think that is going to get even more difficult in 2018 as companies realize good employers are really few and far between. And if I've got a great position with a great company, I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to leave. It's going to be a really tight labor market, but I don't think you're going to see a lot of movement in the top performers. It's going to be pretty tough to pry people out because everyone's doing pretty well right now. I think that skilled vocation and trades positions will continue to be the single biggest economic opportunity for Americans who want to do better for themselves. So learning a trade or a vocational skill, whether it's computer programming or running a machine tool, or learning to be a technician or a plumber or an electrician, these jobs are phenomenal. They pay well. It's job for life, and we need about 4 million or 5 million more of them. And if I'm a parent of a son or daughter telling me, "Mom, Dad, I don't want to go to college. I want to learn how to I want to go into carpentry, or I want to go into be an electrician or an auto tech or a diesel technician." I'm feeling pretty good about that choice if I'm worried about job security for them. I think the notions of go to college, get a job, my bold prediction for the year would be that 2018 is the year that in the public discourse really accelerates as, the message, does this really make sense anymore? I don't think, frankly, it does make sense anymore.
Absolutely, especially with student loan debt at the rate that it is, and everybody's predicting that that's going to be a bubble. I think more and more people are moving to the camp of not everybody has to go to college. There are great, amazing jobs that don't require a college degree.
I would go so far as to say that most jobs don't require a college degree.
Fair.
If you're going into, if you're going into finance or banking or consulting, going to an Ivy League school or top tier school and getting A's says you're good at getting good grades.
Yeah.
And those skills may be transferable to doing the work required at high finance and banking and consulting. It's assignment-based, project-based, high-quality work output, very intense. And so that work environment mirrors what we do. I don't need a Harvard MBA to make calls, right? I just don't.
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't need the Ivy League degree to work in a business and learn it. And I certainly don't need a college degree to start a business.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm glad that I went to school and got my degree. I did not use any of what I learned in what I do now. What I learned was how to manage myself as an adult, but there are ways to do that without paying $30,000 or $40,000 a year to do that.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, I went to art school and I work at a startup, so.
Christen, this is art.
Isn't it?
This is art.
Isn't it? I like that the market is becoming more diversified for young people. I think it's a good sign.
Yes, it is.
To wrap up, what is the biggest people challenge that you're facing in 2018?
Our biggest people challenge will remain finding the right people for this organization. I mean, we are highly selective. I think it's hard to find the right person. And even running a hiring process like we have and using tools like we have, and even though we're really experienced at doing this, our single biggest challenge is going to be, is this the right person for this seat in this organization? Asking this question constantly and making sure as we grow, we get and keep the right people, and act accordingly when we don't have the right people. Like that is the stuff right there that will either make us or break us. All right. Have a good year, everybody.
See you in 2018. Thanks for listening to the Best Team Wins podcast with Adam Robinson. You can find out more information about Adam and his book, The Best Team Wins, Building Your Business Through Predictive Hiring, at thebestteamwins.com. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next week.